And welcome back. Welcome back to Back to the Drawing Board. Once again, my name is Mark Saxon, and it's time for some Friday beers. Sorry, folks. Haven't joined you since before Thanksgiving. Hope everybody's Thanksgiving was fantastic. Forgive my voice. I hope everybody's Christmas will be even better and the best of New Year's. Lot to get into, missed a little bit like I just discussed. So NCAA football playoffs. Obviously, it's all been talked about. Let's just jump right into it right now. Oklahoma 17, Bama 10. What's going on, Bama? And I was one of those Bama haters, and not even really a hater at this point. I felt they didn't belong. Everybody forgets week 1, or yeah, at the beginning of the season, they lost to an unranked Florida State. Later on, they lost to an Oklahoma football team who was ranked 18th. How they get in before Notre Dame, it doesn't make sense to me. How they always get favored every year doesn't make sense to me. But yet again, here we are. And Bama, as I say that, just tied it up 17-17. 1 minute, 18 seconds left in the second quarter. And I think, honestly, I'm giving it to Oklahoma. I don't think Bama has what it takes. Um, as we move forward for the playoffs, Texas A&M taking on Miami. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Texas A&M. Ole Miss over Tulane. Even the lack of Lane Kiffin, I'm giving it to Ole Miss. Oregon, James Madison. I think Oregon's pretty much got a bye. And that pretty much does it for this weekend on the NCAA, because there are no more games that are worth even talking about. Let's take it to the NFL. I'm going to start with my Packers. Last weekend, playing the Broncos. I know everybody's already kind of discussed it. I'm going to give you my piece, anyways. Jordan Love was dicing that defense up the first half. He was doing his part, even with the load management with Josh Jacobs. He was doing his part. Wilson was looking good also in the backfield. The defense was looking good. Yeah, Jordan Love did have an oopsie. Um, Going into the third quarter, we didn't score, didn't move the ball well. And once again, that's been my complaint about the Packers from the beginning of the year. Inconsistent ball movement, especially late in the game. But here's the thing. Tom went down and the offensive line suffered. Then Watson went down. Obviously, that's going to hurt. Micah Parsons goes down now. Micah Parsons, obviously, you know what? Nothing but love. Wish nothing but the best for him. Want the recovery. And I will say this: when we signed him, obviously it never hurts. It's always going to help to sign a Micah Parsons. But if you were with me back when we first got him, I did say, and I'm staying by this, I did say we already had a top five defense. We didn't necessarily need a Micah Parsons. However, like I said, I'm not hating. I love every bit of it. I'm going to reiterate that. But everybody's like, "Oh, Micah's down. The season's over." And I'm like, "No, no. To me, it isn't that way." Christian Watson, I believe, is active. Tom is active for the offensive line. In Jordan Love, we trust, right? So we need Jaden Reed to do his thing. We need Christian Watson do his thing. Golden to do his thing. Losing Tucker Craft hurts. I'm with you. Going into Chicago at this juncture of the season with everything on the line, We need to use a Luke Musgrave. We need to use a Golden, a Reed, obviously Romeo Dobbs, a huge part of the offense. We need to make sure that Josh Jacobs stays fresh with Wilson doing his thing. I believe that the Packers still have what it takes to be an NFC championship contender. Super Bowl, we gotta see how the playoffs play out. Um, I don't see the season being over just because Parsons is down. Now, I'll be the first to admit, absolute devastating loss, very, very huge loss, but it's not over. I still see the Packers going into Chi-Town this weekend taking care of business. 2 weeks ago, we were dicing up that defense left and right. And everybody's like, well, the Chicago offense didn't come alive till that third quarter. Agreed. Very much agreed. But let's not take away from what the Packer defense did. Now, yes, Michael Parsons did do a lot about that because they were double teaming him. Rashawn Gary was able to get free, do his things. I'm with you. However, on the plays where they had Parsons at bay, our secondary was still taking care of business. That third quarter, we did get tired. Defense was on the field, I think 17 minutes, something crazy like that. So I'm not against those arguments. However, I have faith in LaFleur. The play calls on third and short kill me. I don't understand why we're still running the ball when you got a Luke Musgrave. But also having Jordan Love. If you put the ball in Jordan Love's hands, he does great things. Yeah, he'll have a whoopsie here and there. What quarterback doesn't? This juncture of the season, put it in Love's hands. Let's do it to it. I think we're going to make it happen. I still think the Packers can still win the North. Another big matchup. The Eagles taking on the Commanders, and the Eagles are going to win. And I don't say a big matchup because they're playing the Commanders, but I say a big matchup because I believe that's what's going to seal the NFC East for them. Next one that I'm talking about is I want to talk about the Chargers and Cowboys just because the Broncos obviously going to win that division up 2 games. But I think this would be a great game for the Chargers to seal their spot as a wild card. I think that the Chargers can start building upon that to make that happen and building momentum to make some noise with Herbert and company and find a way to be dangerous late. Buccaneers and Panthers. Panthers all of a sudden think they're a football team. I say it's good. It's going to be a good gut check for the Bucks. I'm going to say the Bucks are going to win. I think they're going to find their way in the playoffs, but the Panthers are going to be a tough opponent. Next one, Broncos and Jags. The Jags have just found a way. They have found a way every week. And everybody's going to say, look at the opponents and look at this and look at that. And I agree. This will be a great test. They're obviously going to make it to the playoffs. I think that the Jags can really, even if they lose 45-10, they can really make a go at this after this game to gauge where they're at and really work out the kinks. And obviously the NFC West, right? The Seahawks coming away with it against the Rams on a couple of questionable plays. We could talk about this, that, and the other on that game, but fact of the matter is, Seahawks won. The Rams do have an easier route than the Seahawks, so we'll see how that one plays out. And then the Steelers and Lions. The Bears need the Lions to lose, right? And they need to win. And the Steelers obviously are trying to hold on to everything just to remain relevant. Making the playoffs and being able to win in the playoffs are two different things for the Steelers right now. So it's going to be crazy. 2-8-6 teams. And then the Pats and the Ravens, Sunday Night Football. alongside the Packers and the Bears. I'm giving it to the Pats. I think the Pats are they're going to be fine. Yeah, Josh Allen came back from a 21-0 deficit, kicked him in the teeth. But the Pats are not down and out. So I'm giving it to the Pats. And then the Colts, Phillip Rivers against the 49ers. Giving it on Monday Night Football. I'm giving it to Phillip Rivers. Giving it to Phillip Rivers. Everybody's like, oh, well, he threw an interception. Yeah, well, you know what? Same thing as always. He's trying to make shit happen at the end of the game. I believe he's the first grandfather to throw a touchdown pass. Sticking with it. I don't think the Niners are that team this year. So I'm giving it to the Colts. That's where I'm at. Folks, that's all we're going to talk about this week. Thank you for joining me for yet another week. Once again, I'm Mark Saxton. This is Back to the Drawing Board. Have a fucking weekend. Have some beers. Merry Christmas. I will try to be here Friday night before New Year's. But if I don't, have yourself a good, happy New Year's. Soak it all up. This is the time of the year. Time for some beers.